Who is this guy asking me to go on a national strike? He has to know that I can't afford to miss work, that I have bills to pay. I understand. I totally, completely, trust me, I understand. This country has done protesting, phone calls, town halls where Republicans refuse to even show up because they're too cowardly. We have a president who has broken our agreement with Ukraine through the Budapest Memorandum that we signed in the 1990s, that we would protect them if they gave up their nuclear arsenal. And Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio have broken that, and they have sided with Vladimir Putin, a murderous dictator. They are traitors to this country. They released 1,500 felons that went through the court of law, that were found guilty in a courtroom by a jury of their peers. That is disgusting, and it's despicable. And now he's taken away thousands of jobs. He wants to chop down our national forest, turning them into paper. And he's crapping on our veterans. The people that missed birthday parties, soccer games, anniversaries, holidays, that they sacrificed themselves for our freedoms. And this guy that didn't have the courage to serve because he had bone spurs decides to defund the suicide prevention hotline while we lose, 22 veterans a day, which is just gut-wrenching. That this guy would take that away from veterans is despicable. They need to be removed from office immediately. The bigger issue in this country is this, and this is something that we just keep not addressing. It's the social construct. 36.8 million people, which equates to 11.1% of this country, live in poverty. 770,000 homeless people live in this country. 14 million children have food insecurities, which is a direct result of 36.8 million people living in poverty. $7.25 an hour is the minimum wage in 2009. Cost of living goes up on average 3% a year. So this is minimum wage in 2009, and this is the cost of inflation, 2025. You notice a problem there? Cost of living went up, but the pay never did. So what happens? The poor get poorer and the rich get richer. The best example of that is Walmart. The CEO of Walmart makes 597 times the average worker. On average, a full-time employee, the mean pay is about $30,000 to $31,000 for a full-time employee. And of those full-time employees, because they are the number one employer in the country, about 15,000 people that work at Walmart are on some form of assistance, which means that we subsidize what Walmart won't pay them a fair living wage. Why? Because Walmart wants to get richer and they want to pay their shareholders more money. While we, the taxpayers, including employees at Walmart, part of their paychecks, the taxes, are paying for themselves in a weird way. Think about that. Because they won't pay their people enough. And that's really the problem here. And then we have one of the biggest issues, which is gun violence. I'm going to go through 5 years because it's important to understand what's really important in this country. In 2024, there were 40,962 gun deaths. In 2023, 43,280. 2022, 47,569. 2021, 47,730. In 2020, 44,165. What are we focused on? Putting Trump on the $250 bill, invading Greenland, forcing Canada to become the 51st state, possibly invading Panama Canal, adding 250% tariffs on Canada, building a Trump hotel in Gaza, turning Ukraine over to Vladimir Putin, and talking about 12 transgender athletes in sports. How many people have died from a transgender playing in college sports? That's right, none. Why is that an issue? Because people like to be pissed off and angry. And when they're angry, they vote with their emotions. And when they vote for their emotions, they give people money. And those same people stay in power as long as their emotions are listened to. We have asked for years for these issues to be addressed, and they're not. Elon Musk essentially bought the presidency. He spent almost $300 million. And he used Twitter as a propaganda arm, similar to what Benito Mussolini did back in the 1920s, 1930s. You control the media, you control what people believe. Because a lot of people don't fact check. We are living in a matrix. What is the matrix? The matrix is control. Remember what Morpheus said to Neo? It's controlling people. They're born into the matrix. They're plugged into the matrix. They supply the robot city, the machine city, and they suck them dry. And those people power the city, the oligarchs, the corporations, the CEOs of Walmart and Google and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg. And then once they're done with them, they dispose of them, they get rid of them. You say, have a good life, and they bring in more people, more slave labor. And what's happening now is now we're going to take away their Medicare and Medicaid so we can give those corporations even more money. Why is that? So they can get money into politics, so they can be richer. This needs to stop. There has to be a point in our history where we have to use the power that we have to put an end to it. And for those of you that are concerned about your jobs and the bills, I get it. But let me just say this, when a recession comes, we're all going to be in the same boat. He's going to fire another 80,000 people. States are going to have a massive unemployment surge, and it's going to put a massive burden on those states, and they're going to bankrupt. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Nebraska, from what I've read, is close to that because of the USID and the contracts that aren't there anymore. We're going to get there anyway. We have the power to do something. We can continue to be outraged over the breaking news and be distracted because those people that report the news, they do a good job. But here's the thing. They get more viewers, they get more likes, they get more comments, they make more money. That's how they make their money. Outrage sells. You drive down a freeway and it's backed up for 2 miles and you're waiting for this accident and it's a cop replacing a flat tire because we all stop to look at it to be entertained. We have to stop buying into that narrative. We have to stop the outrage. The only way to do that is if everybody goes on a national strike. That's the solution, people. We have enough people on the streets that if everybody did it, we can get there. Now, France, May of 1968, they had 22% of their population, which is about 11 million people. We need 3.5%, which is about 12.5 million people, more or less. There's enough people that sign this petition, share it with your friends, put it on Facebook, put it on social media. Reach out to the influencers every day, not just once, every day. Go to the big influencers. Go to the people like the Lizzos, the JoJo Silvas, the Taylor Swifts. If she ignores it, she ignores it. But I'll tell you this, I'm not just going to sit back in the Titanic while we hit the iceberg. We're going to storm the captain's chair and we're going to turn that wheel and we're going to do the best that we can together in order to avoid it. I'll be damned if I'm not going to go down to a fight, but it has to be a team effort because if we don't do it as a team, if we just do something one day and then share it and say, oh, they didn't work, then you really haven't tried everything that you can. And I think we can all agree that neither the Democrats or the Republicans are going to save us right now. The Republicans are kissing up to their orange Jesus, and the Democrats have no backbone and no leadership. And here I am, providing a solution. If we hit the iceberg, this is what you have to remember. If you don't do everything you can to avoid it, who's going to be in the lifeboats first? Zuckerberg, Bezos, Trump, President-elect Musk, J.D. Vance, the Koch brothers, Peter Thiel, all the billionaires with warm blankets, with violins playing. You and I, the people that are feeding the Matrix, we're going to get screwed. We're going to find over 5 or 6 lifeboats, and then everybody else is going to end up in the ocean like Jack. That ocean doesn't care if you're on the red team, the blue team, or no team. It doesn't care. So who's with me? Who's ready to storm the captain's chamber and start a revolution that needs to happen? We have to do it together. If enough of us get there, there's no reason we can't get 10 or 15 million people and really make a difference and demand that the things that I have down below this video should happen and can happen, and we don't go off a strike until they're met. I understand that there's a handful of things that are on there. I get that. But we agreed to a social contract that we would pay our taxes if the government would help the people, and they're not helping the people right now. So if the government isn't keeping up their end of the social contract, why in the hell should we as taxpayers keep up our half of the contract and pay government taxes? I propose we don't. Why should I put my money into a government that's going to use it on a president to spend $20 million to the Super Bowl, $5 million at NASCAR, and $18 million playing golf? While we're talking about fraud and waste, what would you call that? Because it was never about fraud and waste. It's about making the rich richer and keeping the poor poor. We can do this together. The last thing I'll say, and I know it's a long video, but this isn't an easy ask. In the movie V is for Vendetta, V was the hero in some aspects. But the people that actually, the ones that actually made the change were the people. Thousands and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that chose to open the packages, that chose to put the mask on and chose to put the cape on. And not just put them on, but they all marched together in the square. And that's what I need every person that's watching this video to do, is to like this, to sign it, to share it every day. Every day, email somebody. I don't care if it's Cyndi Lauper, Alyssa Milano. I don't care if it's Sean Astin. It doesn't matter. All they can say is no, right? But you do it every single day, and that's how change happens. Rosa Parks was just one person. Martin Luther King was just one person. Colin Kaepernick was just one person. John Lewis was just one person. One person can make a difference, but all of us can really change the country. Who's with me?